Blessings, everyone. Before commencing with the individual sign weekly readings, let us have a look at the incoming wave or general shift that is coming to all people. Remember, incoming waves extend beyond the single week in influence. These are shifts in the energetic dynamic that are integrating into the new normal. Please also remember, though this wave is already being experienced by many, including myself, these are forecasts of incoming changes. They are not intended to be immediately relatable to those viewing ahead of time, and so they may not be right away. This wave is personified by the Hermit and the Fool. At a glance, it almost felt paradoxical, but that is not so. There is much movement here. This week begins a turn towards deep transition with many trade-offs. The Hermit presents a shift that is spiritually and energetically altering the personal landscape, while the Fool ushers forth new beginnings and departures from old journeys. It is a feeling of abrupt turns and trades, as many stories and phases are suddenly brought to an end to make room for fresh starts and clean slates. Freedom. With this also comes resurrection and connection opportunities with many aspects of self and spiritual kin across many spaces and lifetimes. Remember the return to innocence energies that began to take hold in March. This may be difficult or uncomfortable for those invested in a focus or an outcome, especially if personal healing or identity is wrapped up in that focus or outcome. Remind them of the importance of flow. Show support for the choices to stop going in circles. It's okay to take time away from spaces and those who are not, or choose not to be, ready to take on this week. Make as much room as you can for your gifts. Let the wave do its work. Remember, there is grace here. The new presents before the old departs. Explore the options presenting with discernment and non-judgment. Let the arrival of new opportunities, adventures, breakthroughs, foreignness, and reunions be the mixed bag blessing it is. Alright, Aries, now that we've had a chance to look over the incoming wave, let's have a look and see how that lands for you this week. Remember, if you ever wish to get a session with me, you do need to go to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com, or of course you may also just simply follow the links below. And thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Take a second to do that now. 1 second is up. Okay, let's have a look and see how things are playing out for this coming week for you. Now, for your archetypal themes, what is going on in the background, right? What is playing out as far as the overarching plot, or I guess you could say the main theme for every interaction that you have, you know, environmentally, with people, close and not so close? Well, you've got the Emperor upright. And this is a week where a lot of you are going to be in a position of considerable influence and power. With the Emperor card, I actually am seeing a lot of you Aries people having a lot of, I guess, command and deference sort of being handed to you this week in order to, you know, create and co-create exactly what it is you want to evolve from all circumstances you are in. Now, this might be kind of a space where you have to sort of take some steps to learn how to do that this week, because when you notice that bosses, landlords, teachers, even partners, both romantic and business, and friends, are kind of giving it to you to decide, agreeing to follow your lead, giving you the wheel. This is a time where you have a chance to really command how things are going to go forward into being. It's about organizing and being able to stay in a place where you can think on your feet at the same time. I am seeing with the Emperor, and what I'm actually getting here is that there's also a big focus on changing trends, changing the way things are kind of developing in bigger ways, making bigger ripple effects around yourself, changing the way a certain thing evolves in business, changing the course of events and maybe some kind of social connection, a family plan, maybe even a living situation. You're kind of now getting all of the responsibility of the captain of the ship, but all of the power and, of course, the influence at the same time. And even if it's something that you're like, look, I don't want to be in this position, I don't like it, it is something that you do need to mature into knowing how to do, at least when the time is right. And so this is a week where the time is right. So practice, practice, practice. And don't be afraid to make some interesting calls, some different calls, some tough calls, some off the wall calls, as long as it's in the highest interest of all concerned. Because that's how the Emperor works. It's about being the best leader and captain in the highest interest of all concerned. Not just one person, not tunnel vision, not picking favorites, all concerned. When it comes to news and arrivals, we have the Eight of Pentacles upright. And a lot of you Aries people are going to be getting linked in to some kind of new work opportunity. I'm not sure if this is relating to something financial or enterprising in that respect. Had an enterprising couple of weeks of energy building up for you guys. But this is also an opportunity to really kind of get to work on improving or maybe even upgrading something that you have been working on that is generating some kind of social or maybe financial prosperity. I am seeing with the news and arrivals this could actually show up as sort of a new opportunity, a new opening, a new avenue kind of coming through something that you're already working on. It's going through an evolution process. And with the Eight of Pentacles, I'm also seeing that this is something that is kind of recommended. This is something being pushed either by a friend, a teammate, or even a family member. But it is something that will actually hit the ground running. It'll pick up traction wherever you decide to actually carry this, okay? So again, it's about being brave, because it might be a little off the wall. It might betray conventional wisdom. But now that the world's kind of topsy-turvy, we're not oppressed by tradition and conventional wisdom. It's time to let things change. When it comes to material resources, well, we actually have the Ten of Swords in reverse. And I am seeing that there is something coming in that is actually going to be sort of a saving grace. Because with the Ten of Swords reversed, I'm actually seeing something that I wouldn't necessarily say that this is something kind of giving a bailout or anything like that to you. It could, but with the Ten of Swords reversed, it's sort of like against all hope or against all odds, something manages to actually pull through, whether it's a project that's struggling, maybe a job opportunity, a promotion opportunity that's been kind of dead in the water, or maybe even a financial situation that we're kind of maybe struggling to, meet some kind of deadline with. Maybe we're feeling a little bit trapped, it's a little bit confusing. The Ten of Swords reverse is indicating this week there is that saving grace. And I feel like, this is a time, again, with the Emperor card upright, for you to be in the thick of it, right? Don't be sitting back and praying. Please don't issue prayers in the comments down below. Go and let yourself be the commanding officer this week. For your relationships, when it comes to love and romance, we actually have the Four of Swords upright. And relationships this week, I feel, are going through a bit of a cocooning phase. And a lot of you might be finding that is what's happening with your partners, with your crushes. I do feel like this really supports that Emperor card upright energy. A partner or a crush may be actually kind of letting you take the reins. They need to go into a cocoon phase. There's less resistance about an initiative or something that you're bringing forth into being. But the cocoon phase is also very important with the Four of Swords, because a partner or a crush is also going through a bit of a transition themselves. They're actually getting rid of kind of a big part of their life that proved to be maybe too taxing, emotionally taxing, materialistically taxing, or maybe even something that was dispersing their energies. And so they're kind of not shutting down. I don't see anyone getting shut down or shut out, but they are ultimately kind of letting themselves drift. They're going with that flow this week. And if you've been in a situation where you kind of feel like, yeah, this is actually opportune, let me take a crack at this. With the Four of Swords, things are a little bit quiet coming from a partner or a crush, but it doesn't mean they're inactive. It just means that they have to go through some kind of healing process. They're being forced to work with the trade-off and trade-out energy that has been going on, right? We just talked about that with the incoming wave. So you're kind of trading in, right? You're actually getting into this place of power, but your partner is going through, or your crush or somebody new is going through a bit of a slow cocoon phase this week, where they're kind of releasing a lot of maybe old paradigm within, belief systems or ways of conducting themselves. They're releasing a lot of stuff that they used to really self-identify with, and so they're kind of in a very fragile place, but they're also in a place of transformation, which means, you get more of the influence over where things are going. They don't want to be putting a lot of that energy in right now. They are taking a little bit of a step back. And it's a very interesting energy, but I want you to be able to understand that this is not something to take as a negative. This is something that I think ultimately is going to produce an evolution in a partner or somebody that you're seeing. So that is your horoscope. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And should you ever want to get a session, go to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.